that video was created using Invideo, which is why it can start the show, and it's a countdown clock, and it's only 30 seconds, and it means that we must be live on Facebook and YouTube. Hello, John. Oh. Okay. You know, right. You can now talk.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm well, apart from forgetting to press the mute button, I'm doing well. I say hello to Corinda, and hello, Corinda, and yeah, that's the same video as I had this morning, and that's new. I didn't know you could put a video in the background. Yes, you can. It's all part of XSplit VCam, so you can have a video in the background, and it's also a countdown clock as well. So there you are. It's two things.
Now, the intro today, that was made with Invideo, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
And is that advertising your new set of shows?
Yeah. Basically, I'm doing, thanks for the lead in, John. I'm doing a new set of shows starting next Monday, live interviews, 30-minute live interviews, live on Facebook and YouTube on Be Live. And I just made a short intro as my search for guests begins. I've got 2 so far, but if I went through, I worked it out, I sat down, and there are 23,000 members in Be Livers. If I did 5 interviews a week, that would be 4,600 weeks. I don't think I'm going to interview everybody. So if you want to get ahead of the queue, then post a comment on the post in Be Livers when it goes up about 5 p.m. today.
But the lead-in, you know, that's just coming to as natural now, isn't it? Because how long have we been broadcasting together? We're in our 6th year, aren't we?
Oh, we are. Definitely.
Sorry?
Yeah. We're definitely in our 6th year, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I used to, as soon as we finished on Blab, I started doing interviews. I went interview mad. I interviewed about 40, 50 people and then sort of got out of it and started co-hosting shows. So it's been a while since I interviewed. So I have to dust the cobwebs off first and then get down to some interviews. So if you want to be there when I'm dusting off the cobwebs, volunteer for an interview on Monday or Tuesday next week.
I think you and me have appeared too many times together for it to be a real interview. Yeah. Yes, I guess we better talk about what we came here for. I mean, we touched on the fact that you made your video in Invideo.
Yep.
Which is great. And I notice even more people are using Invideo in the Be Livers team. And Brighetti's gone mad. She's been posting them all over the place.
Brighetti's creating all her own intro videos and backgrounds and everything. Yeah. So in answer to Amia, background is with XSplit VCam for both of us.
Yeah. Mine is static, stolen off Unsplash, and Stephen's is
moving, created by me using Invideo. So there you are.
And
hosted in video as well.
YouTube.
Sorry?
And hosted on YouTube because you have to have your video on YouTube for XSplit.
Yeah, and you have to have your video on YouTube for Be Live if you want to show it on screen. Speaking of which, John, would you like to talk about today's video?
Well, today I've done something different. Normally, I go back and answer questions from the week. This time, I've demonstrated how to create a little video, and this is about music notes, but it includes things like voiceovers, bringing pictures in, and all sorts of bits and pieces, and demonstrating how the scene length is determined by the voiceover and a few other things. So, ready when you are, Stephen.
Without further ado, we'll take that full screen and we'll switch John's microphone off. And I'll switch my microphone off after and then press play.
Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to create a little video about musical notes. So what I'm going to do first of all is create an intro, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a title, a box around the title, a logo in the corner, and a video running in the background with some music. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a suitable video. So I'm going to type music in, and there's quite a lot of things, but actually I quite like the look of this one. Yep, I think that's going to do us proud, so we'll do that. Now I'm going to set the length of my scene to 12 seconds by typing 12 seconds into the duration. Okay, and then I'm going to add the music. Okay, but I only want 12 seconds of it. It's nice sliding, so I'm literally going to cut it down to 12 seconds. Done. So now I've got 12 seconds, and if I play it, you can actually see it's quite a nice sliding effect on notes. Okay, so I said I was going to have a logo, so I'm going to go to uploads, and I'm going to drag back down until I find my own logo. I'm looking forward to when there's going to be some sections stuff so that we can manage these and put them into folders, but we can't have everything instantly, so just need to be a bit patient there. And then I've got some words here, can't really see them very well, so the first thing I'm going to do is change the color to a nice bright red. Okay, so you can see that. Ooh. And I'm going to change the words to music. Oh, gosh, I can't spell today. Music notes. Okay, now I'm going to want that to be quite big, so I'm going into style. I'm going to turn the auto resizing off, and I'm going to make that 200. Okay, and I'm reasonably happy with that, so I'm going to put it in the center. Notice the lines that come out to help you find the center. I perhaps like it a bit bolder, so I'm going to look for a font that's quite bold, and I like this Helvetica. Okay, so we've got that nice and bright ready there, and now I want to add a border around the music notes. So I'm going to go to shapes, going to go to outlines, and I like this square with the rotor, the nice corners, circular corners. So I've got that there. I'm going to pull that to make it bigger, and then I'm going to center that as well. Okay, so if we go to layers, I've got logo 1, so I'm going to change that to say think and do. So what I'm going to try and do is keep all of my elements easily to find. I've got my text here, I've got my media in the background, so this is my square. So I'm going to change that to say square. Okay, and I'm going to change the name of the media to say flowing notes. So I easily know what each of them are. And my favourite trick, too many capitals. So I've got the elements, but hey, there's one thing I really need to change, and that's I need to change the square. So what I want to do there is change the colour, and I'm going to use the same red. Okay, so if we play it, I'd like things to come in a bit easier. So let's go to our advanced timeline. I'll stop it first and go to advanced timeline, and here we can see the different things, and you could see musical notes didn't come in till quite late, and I want that also to be the same length, so that there. So if we play it again now, it's quite nice, but perhaps we need a bit of animation on the square. So we can go and have a look at that. We've got musical notes. We can go to edit it, and we can add some animation. Wrong thing. Let's go back to layers. I want the square I want to change, and what I'm going to do is add some animation to that. So if we look at the animation, it's the in animation, and we've currently got none. And you can see we've got a whole round of information. Let's have it bounce in, but let's have it bounce in from up. Let's make it take the full 3 seconds, and let's have a quick look what that's like. And I think that gives us a nice starter feel for where we're going. One more thing I think we can add to it though is if we go to the layers, music notes, edit, what we could do is add drop shadow, and I think that just gives the music notes that little bit of extra ping, if you like. The next thing we're going to do is to add some music. Now, I don't want the default. I want something quite subtle, and I think angry is a bit too much for this. So let's go and listen to the calm and see if we can find something slow and calming. So let's listen to natural. No, it's not really what I'm looking for. Super. I'm going to select Supreme, and so now I've got my first scene done, and let's listen to it. Oh, I've forgotten, if I want to hear the music I need to use preview. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to make one final change to that, is that we had some action on the square coming in, and I'm going to put some action on the square going out. So I'm clicking on square, I'm going to go to edit, I'm going to go to animation, and I'm going to go to out, and we have bounce from up. So let's look at bounce. And we're going to bounce to down, and again I'm going to make that the full 3 seconds. Okay, so let's have a preview. Okay, so that gave us a nice little bit of action at the end. Now I'm going to add the next scene. So I've come out of the advanced timeline and I'm in the basic timeline, and I'm going to hit add a scene. And I'm going to use the same one as before, add a scene. Now the first thing is I need to remove this transition, because as you can see it's pinching part of that and part of this scene, and I really don't need that to happen. So I'm going to go to default, click on there, remove transmission, and you can now see that I have a full 12 seconds here, and I've got the default 5 seconds for the add scene. So I'm going to do a couple of things now with the scene itself, the first thing I'm going to do is give it its title, which is The Grand Staff. Okay, I'm going to change the colour because I'm going to consistently use my red throughout, and then I'm going to move it to the top and centralize it. Okay, so that's the first thing. I'm going to go back to uploads and I'm going to bring the logo over. It's important that you get the blue square to appear, otherwise it will fill the entire scene as if it was a picture that you were doing. Oh, just like that. So let's delete that and let's bring it back this time. Make sure we've got the blue, let go, and I'm just making it just a little bit larger. And then one more thing I want to do is I want to unlock the background, edit it, and I'm going to make it white. Okay, I'm going to go back to layers and I'm going to lock it now so that it stays white. So I've got my base here. What I need to do now is determine the length, and to determine the length here, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add a voiceover, because the length of that voiceover needs to be the length of the scene. So if we go add voiceover, I'm going to go to an automated voiceover. I'm going with British English. I'm going with Amy, simply because they're like, I'm not panicking about whether the voices are great or not. You can all have your own arguments about that, but this is just to demonstrate. Now if I nip over to Word, I've actually got the text here, so I can copy it. I can go back here and I can enter my text for this. So I've used Control-C and Control-V to paste those in. Okay, so now I'm going to click Generate Video. Now it will take a few moments here, but not all that long, and we will have our voiceover and we can have a listen to it then. But it will also show us how long it needs to be, so you can see that it's going to be 21 seconds. So let's play it and listen to it.
This is what we call the grand staff. You can see that there are lines and spaces on the top part as well as the bottom part. Notice the two different signs within them.
Okay, I'm not going to play it all the way through. We can hear what we want to hear. So I'm going to add the voiceover to the scene, and if we look, we'll now see that the scene itself has been extended to 21 seconds. Okay, well it's actually 21.6 seconds. Okay, so if we were to play that scene.
This is what we call the grand staff. You can see that there are lines and spaces on the top part as well as the bottom part.
I'm going to stop that now and go back to edit. So we've got our scene, we've got our logo, we've got our heading. We're missing the image that we want to refer to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Upload Files, PNG, Open. Work this time. And it's sitting there optimizing. And now we've got our grand clef, and you can see the upload is complete. I'm going to pull that in and just drop it on. So the first thing I want to do is make it smaller, and then I'm going to center it. Okay, and I think that will give me quite a balanced picture. Now when you bring images in, if we go to image animation, you'll see that in place is added automatically. Now I really don't want this to do anything other than appear, so I'm simply going to change that to none. Okay, so now I've got all the elements of my scene. If I play my scene, oh, I want to hear what's going on, so let's preview the scene. Oh, preview on video, sorry.
This is what we call the grand staff. You can see that there are lines and spaces on the top part as well as the bottom part. Notice the two different signs within the lines and spaces. These are called clefs, and the top one is called the treble clef, and the bottom one is called the bass clef. There are notes in each line and space in both the treble and bass clefs.
Well, it was worth running it the whole way through. We could have looked at play scene. Now, there was one thing I did notice there, and that was the music was a bit on the loud side. So I think if I go back to my layer list, and what I need to do is, let's label them. So this is the grand clef. And voiceover, I suppose I could use that, but I'm going to change that to grand clef voiceover, so as I know what it is. Grand clef voiceover, edit, and I've removed the image animation from that. Go back to layers, grand clef voiceover, edit. So there it is. What I want to do is just knock back the background music a bit more. Okay, so I've done a couple of little changes there, and we'll show you those at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go a bit faster now. And to do things as quick as possible, I've already uploaded the images we're going to need for the next scene. So let's add a new scene. First thing we're going to do is unlock the background, edit the background, change it to white. Okay, go back to the layer, lock the background. We've got our words here, so let's change the words. Filter around scene, edit. So we're going to change the words, and this is going to say treble clef notes. And I've done my favourite trick, is I always hold down the shift button for too long. So now I've got treble clef notes, and as I did before, I'm going to change the colour to red to be consistent, and again I'm going to take it to the top and center it. Okay, so treble clef notes. Let's quickly nip to uploads, go down and find my logo. I think I'm going to delete a load of these uploads because lots of them are for example things that I've done before. Again, this time make sure you've got the blue square there, and I just pull it out a bit further. So as before, the determinator for the length of this scene will be the voiceover. So let's add the voiceover. We're sticking with British English and Amy, and what we need to do now is nip into Word where I've got the text, Control C, and then go back and click here and do Control V. Okay, let's generate the voiceover. Takes a few seconds to do this, but it isn't too lengthy a thing, and so it's going to be around about the 17 seconds mark. We'll play a couple of seconds to hear it.
The treble clef contains 5 lines.
Okie doke, and let's add it to the voiceover. And now if we look, we can see that that scene now is 18.76 seconds. Same as before, I want to remove the default transition so that nothing is stolen from either side. Okay, so if we now go along, we've got our scene, we've got what it's about. We've got our voiceover. What we need now is our picture. So if we go back to the top, I said there was loads there from before. So let's drag the picture on. Let's size it down. And let's center it. And let's play the scene.
The treble clef contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it,
But I can
and
see
each of these
straight
lines
away that I forgot to remove the animation off the image. So let's go to in place. Instead of zoom out, we're going to have none. Okay, so let's watch it again.
The treble clef contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and each of these lines and spaces has a specific note that is located there. The notes on the 4 spaces are F, A, C, and D. The notes on the 5 lines are E, G, B, D, and F.
Okay, so that's my second scene done, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to do the same thing now, and I'm going to add another. Oh, actually, quite before I do that, I'm just going to go to the advanced timeline, and I'm going to check. And yes, look, the image comes in a bit late, so let's move it further over and stretch it so that it's on the full thing. Okay, so I go back to the basic timeline, use the scroller to get to the end, and I'm going to add scene again. Again, I'm going to use the top one. Again, first thing I'm going to do is unlock the background, edit it, change it to white, go back to layers, lock it, click on build your own scene, edit, and I'm going to change this to say base clef. Notes. Okay, and then again, as before, I'm going there. Now, I'm not changing any fonts or anything on this. I just really want to simply demonstrate, you know, there. And again, you can see how I used the bars to align it in the center. So, again, voiceover is key here. And I need to pop over to Word. Okay, so now we're in Word. I've highlighted the text. I'm going to do Control C, and I'm going to nip back to here, and I'm going to add the voiceover. Again, I'm using just the same automated voiceover, British English there, and then I'm going to do Control V, and I'm going to generate the voiceover. Always takes a few seconds, but it's not painful. It does give you the voiceover quite quickly. So now I'm going to play a few seconds.
The bass clef also contains...
And then I'm going to add the voiceover to the scene. Okay, and again, like before, I'm going to go here and remove the default transition. So I've got that there. What again is I need to go to my uploads, and I'm going to drag the base picture in. I haven't forgotten that I need to add the logo, but I will do that in a moment. So there's the base ones. Center them slightly up, and then let's go down to the bottom. As I said, I think I need to delete some of these. And there's my logo. Again, I'm going to make sure I've got the blue, and I'm going to pull it out 2 clicks. So let's play the scene.
The bass clef also contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and
I've forgotten to go in and remove the in place. I wish it defaulted to nothing like the others do. In does, out does, but for some reason in place moves to either zoom in or zoom out. So let's play it again.
The bass clef also contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and each of these lines and spaces has a specific note.
I'm going to stop that there. So I am going to make a bigger video, but for the sake of this training exercise, I'm just doing these key scenes.
This is what we call the grand staff. You can see that there are lines and spaces on the top part as well as the bottom part. Notice the two different signs within the lines and spaces. These are called clefs, and the top one is called the treble clef, and the bottom one is called the bass clef. There are notes in each line and space in both the treble and bass clefs. The treble clef contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and each of these lines and spaces has a specific note that is located there. The notes on the 4 spaces are F, A, C, and D. The notes on the 5 lines are E, G, B, D, and F. The bass clef also contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and each of these lines and spaces has a specific note that is located there. The notes on the 4 spaces are A, C, E, and G. The notes on the 5 lines are G, B, D, F, and A.
When I stopped the broadcast last week, you said it hadn't finished, so I'm leaving it an extra few seconds. So
Well, it definitely.
has it finished? Has it finished for you yet?
It's definitely finished. Stephen. It's definitely finished.
Well, let's hide that then and come back to you and me. I didn't want to make the same mistake twice. Right. Okay. Now we've lots of interesting techniques there. Sort of different skills that are needed, and it all comes together. I quite like that. I enjoyed that, and it's given me some ideas, especially with the voiceover. And yeah, I can see that. I can see that on a future Invideo video of mine. So thank you, John. Question from Corinda, and he says your version of Invideo.io is different to his. Now it's going to depend which version is on, isn't it?
Just the box standard
It's the Pro one,
one,
though, isn't it?
Well, there is only one version. I suspect he might be on the freebie if that's the case, but even then it looks pretty much the same.
Corinda, you sent me a video during the week which I enjoyed watching, and I went over to your YouTube page and I liked the video, and I made a note of the URL so I could actually show it live this week. But when I went there today, the video about Bokashi was gone, so we can't show it today because it's disappeared. And the other videos you have there are about 6 or 7 minutes long. So for this week, we take a rain check, and you're more than welcome to a video and for it to appear on next week's show. Right, before we go, I just want to sort of solve a mystery for you. Behind me now, you can see a bookcase. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share. Now, this is, believe it or not, Invideo related. So I'm going to take Corinda's comment off the screen, and I'm going to show this so that it's next to me. Now, having 2 of me on the screen is no good, so I'm going to switch my camera off. And you can now see this is XSplit VCam. An XSplit VCam allows you to have a virtual camera and to use different backgrounds and to swap from one background to another. You just, on the program, click on the background, and lo and behold, your background has changed, and it can be anything you want it to be. And this is one of my favorites in Salisbury. The other thing it can be is it can be a YouTube video. Here's one I made earlier, and this is a YouTube video actually playing as my background. That's all it is. If this works, that is.
It will. Oh.
There it is. It's working. So that's using a video as your background. This is XSplit VCam, as it says up there. I got it right. XSplit VCam. It's $40. You can buy it, be live, seize it as a virtual camera, and then you can have images or videos as your background. Demonstration over. I shall hide that and come back to us, or me, or you, or both of us, or a blank screen.
Screen.
I'll put you right. Okay. You're no fault, and I'm going to switch my camera on. That's always a good idea. It won't let me switch my camera. Something's gone wrong, John. John, would you like to close the show?
Here in the loony bin, it's goodbye from both of us. We'll see you next week.
I don't know what happened there. No, it's not working. Bye, John. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.